Welcome to the Cigar Rebel community, where indulgence meets authenticity. This is more than a podcast. It's a gathering place for those who savor life's luxuries with unapologetic passion. Here we celebrate the fine art of living through rich flavors, bold spirits, exquisite cigars, and unforgettable experiences.
Welcome, Cigar Rebels, to the podcast. I'm Mel. Whether you are lighting up on your back porch, sitting in your favorite lounge, driving home from work, or sneaking away for a little peace and quiet with a cigar, we're glad you're here.
Absolutely. And I'm Kevin, and tonight we're coming to you live with an episode that many of you rebels out there have been excited about, and we're excited to bring to you tonight coffee and cigars.
Yeah, and I really do think that this is one of the few pairings that almost every cigar smoker can agree on.
Yeah, absolutely. Bourbon is great. Rum is fantastic with a cigar. Wine can be exceptional when paired appropriately, but coffee always is invited.
Yes, so morning patio, afternoon reset, late night espresso, rainy day lounge smoke. Maybe you're doing a dessert with coffee or a dessert instead of coffee. Coffee just fits any time of the day.
Absolutely. And cigar smokers have paired coffee and cigars many times, but not everybody understands or knows why, Mel.
Right, exactly. So tonight we are going to talk about why coffee and cigars pair so well and how roast level changes your cigar experience. So also we're going to talk about why morning cigars are different from evening cigars and how to choose the right cigar with the right cup of coffee.
Yeah, and maybe will help a few of you rebels avoid pairing a delicate Connecticut with a double espresso that hits like a freight train.
Yes, that poor Connecticut never stood a chance.
None.
So tonight is going to be really fun. It's going to be practical, educational, and maybe a little bit more dangerous for anyone who already owns too many cigars and too many coffee gadgets.
I feel attacked on that one. I love the gadgets. I just recently got me this little pour over thing that I meant to bring to it this tonight, and it's sitting on the table at home, but Mel had to laugh at me because I don't need something else to make coffee with.
That is very true. I mean, we've got lots of different things. All right, Rebels, let's go ahead and cut, light, and settle in.
Absolutely. But Mel, before we get too far, what are we smoking tonight?
Tonight, we are smoking the Arts and Crafts by the Elevated Humidor. It has a San Andreas Maduro wrapper, Indonesian binder, and this one, I believe, also has Nicaraguan Ecuadorian fillers.
Yep, absolutely. And so tonight, we're smoking a cigar that we picked specifically for this kind of conversation. We wanted something approachable and flavorful and pretty flexible. Something that could stand up to the coffee but not fight it, Mel.
Exactly. So coffee, it can be light and it can be bright. It can be creamy and sweet. It can be dark and bitter, my least favorite. It can be the cold brew. It can be espresso. And it can be gas station coffee that has been sitting there since Tuesday. But in desperate times,
we do not recommend that pairing. Don't ever get coffee from a convenience store that's been sitting there forever. There's a coffee shop around the corner everywhere.
Yes.
But we do respect the hustle. Late night, needing a cup of coffee. I've done it. Driving overnight, light a cigar, get a cup of coffee to make the finish up the drive.
Mm-hmm.
But not recommended.
Exactly. For tonight's cigar, we're looking for a profile with cedar, cream, toasted nuts, maybe a little bit of cocoa, maybe some baking spice, and enough body to really stay interesting. And so that is why we are smoking the event-only cigar by the Elevated Humidor, the Arts and Crafts.
Yep, absolutely. So a couple of shout-outs, the Leaf and Ash podcast. Good to see you on tonight. Krista, Alex with TDM Cigars. Yo, Kiltman, it's good to see you. Addie, and Kiltman says he loves coffees with cigars. But let's go ahead and get this cigar lit tonight. Our lighting is brought to you by the Elevated Humidor.
Some moments deserve more than just passing by. They deserve to be celebrated. That's the philosophy behind the Elevated Humidor. Born from a passion for hand-rolled premium cigars, T.E.H. blends world-class tobaccos from the Dominican Republic and Nicaragua into cigars crafted with tradition, precision, and purpose. Whether you're marking a milestone, closing a deal, or simply taking a well-earned pause, the elevated humidor turns a simple moment into a lasting memory. With 4 distinct collections crafted to satisfy every palate, there's truly something for everyone. Explore the smooth refinement of the Velvet Collection, the elevated sophistication of the Elegant Collection, the timeless character of the Core Collection, or the flavor experience of our Infused Collection. Visit your preferred tobacconist and ask for the Elevated Humidor by name. If you don't find us on the shelf, our premium collections are available online through our trusted retail partner, Two Guys Cigars, bringing exceptional craftsmanship and unforgettable experiences directly to your door. The Elevated Humidor. Celebrate life the elevated way.
As always, thank you to our sponsors. Now that we have this lit, what are you getting off of that?
Yeah, so there's a light woodiness to it. The smoke seems to be pretty creamy and a little bit of a soft spice just on the finish. It's got a very short finish. But again, since it's been lit, I've taken 3 or 4 draws, so we'll see how it develops.
Yeah, I agree with that. And for those of you that had this in your Rebel pack, feel free to drop in the comments how you were enjoying the cigar. Same with our live audience. So I believe everyone is smoking along with us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Dave, good to see you. Evening. So we got a lot of people on with us. Leslie's back in her backyard, so she is no longer in Maine, wishing she was still there. It was a beautiful view last week during the duel. And for those of you guys watching live here in our live audience, we've got several different coffees brewed. They're enjoying with us tonight to make this experience a little bit better. And so, Mel, let's jump right into the topic.
So I feel like the aroma coming off of the cigar has a sweet woodiness, maybe a little bit of hay, and maybe a little bit of cocoa in there.
Yeah, and so that really already kind of describes coffee.
It really does.
Right? And so what coffee are we pairing with it tonight? What are we drinking?
So tonight we are really using 3 coffee lanes as the reference point. So we have the light roast or the breakfast style coffee, a medium roast, and then the darker espresso style coffee as well.
Absolutely. We're not trying to be coffee snobs tonight, but for Mel and I, we both have a cup of coffee. It's more of that dark roast to pair with this to enjoy. We brewed and brought with us, and then we brewed several pots here. And so, like I said, not trying to be coffee snobs, but you've got to have good variety of coffee if you're pairing with a cigar.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of you out there probably have different scales, grinders, water temperature charts, maybe a notebook. I know a couple of people that they will exclusively roast their own beans. They have their own premise to make coffee, and everything else is not worth drinking.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the person you're thinking of. I'm not going to mention them here tonight, but I hate going anywhere to get coffee with them because it is never going to be good. You're just prepared for griping.
I mean, to be fair, I do have a few friends that way, but
that's true. But tonight we're going to keep it practical.
Mm-hmm.
We want to
exactly. Go ahead.
I was going to say we want to help people understand how the same cigar can change depending on the cup of coffee, which is why we brewed several ones here tonight for people to move along as we smoke the cigar.
Right, and I think that's kind of the fun part.
Yeah, absolutely, because same cigar, 3 different coffees, ends up being 3 different unique experiences.
100%. I also think that on this cigar, I have not sipped any coffee with it yet, but I'm about to. Maybe getting a little bit of soft pepper on the retrohale.
Yeah, so definitely a little bit. With the coffee, it mutes a little bit of that from what we're drinking, and the sweet and creaminess come out for me a little bit. But that soft pepper is definitely there, not too much, just enough to kind of wake up the senses. And with the coffeeness, as I said, that creaminess is there, and maybe a little bit of a nuttiness flavor is starting to show up as we just get maybe a 1/4 of an inch into this cigar.
Yeah, 100%. But that's exactly, I think, what we kind of wanted tonight, a cigar that is going to give us all room to talk.
Right, absolutely. And so a little bit of audience interaction engagement tonight. For those of you guys watching live in the chat, jump right in right now. Drop in the comments what you're smoking and what you're drinking tonight.
Yes, that would be awesome. So we definitely want to know, are you drinking black coffee? Do you take it with cream and sugar? Do you take it with maybe creamer of some kind, a latte, a cold brew, maybe an espresso?
Yeah. Jay says he likes an iced coffee in Texas heat. Definitely agree. We're drinking all hot coffees tonight. Mel loves a good iced coffee. I'm not much of an iced coffee person. For you rebels out there, if you have a favorite coffee and cigar pairing, go ahead and drop that in the comments as well. And we'll read a few as we go along, because why not? Coffee and cigars just work.
Yes, so let's go ahead. We're going to start simple. And why is that coffee and cigars work so well together?
It's really because they speak the same language.
Yes, so both are agricultural products. Coffee starts as a seed. Tobacco starts as a seed. Both are shaped by where they're grown.
Yeah, soil, climate, elevation, rainfall, fermentation, processing, human skill, how the final product is manufactured.
Yes, so basically we are going back to dirt again.
Yeah.
You know, we love talking about dirt.
Yeah, we never weren't on dirt.
Right.
Tobacco 101, Mel, it never ended.
And it probably never will. But that matters because coffee and cigars, they share so much flavor language. The cocoa, the nuts, earth. There's going to be cream, caramel, pepper, wood, all of those things. Yeah, dark fruit, roasted nuts.
Absolutely. And when you pair them well, those flavors can support each other, or they can bring something completely new out.
Right. And that's the magic, really. Are you pairing a complementary or a contrasting or contradicting pairing? So a good coffee pairing doesn't just sit next to the cigar. It's going to change how you experience the cigar.
Absolutely. Eric said he likes to roast his own coffee. I would love to try some of that, Eric. He says, I'm a black French press guy every day. I've been thinking about getting a French press. Like I said, I just got my own pour over. And he says, tonight I'm drinking on ice shaken espresso paired with a La Aroma Cuba de Mi Amor, which is a fantastic cigar. Vanilla Mocha is really bringing out the chocolate in the arts and craft. I love that, Krista. It's great. The truth is, a cigar can change how you experience the coffee in as much as the coffee can change how you experience the cigar.
Right. So a cigar that has natural sweetness can soften bitterness in coffee. A darker coffee can pull the cocoa or earth out of a cigar.
Right.
And there's going to be creamy coffee drinks can make a Connecticut even silkier if you have that pairing.
Yeah. And the problem, though, Mel, is a bad pairing can make both worse.
Yes. And it makes them worse quickly, very quickly. And it can also give you that wrong impression from the cigar.
Yeah. And so sometimes you smoke the cigar and you don't enjoy it, but it might be what you had actually paired it with, because we've all had that moment where when you love the cigar, you love the drink, but together they taste a lot like regret.
Yes, so I could not agree more. It happens sometimes more frequently to me than I'm expecting even. And so that's when you just need to cleanse your palate and leave the drink behind.
Yeah, absolutely, because the goal is balance. And
yes.
How do you make it better? If it's bad, I love your idea. Just cleanse your palate, get some sparkling water, get a glass of water, swish it around, drink, leave the drink behind, finish the cigar, and come back to the drink.
Right, because you don't want the coffee to erase the cigar, and you don't want the cigar to bully the coffee.
That's a really good word, bully, there, because a full-bodied pepper bomb can absolutely bully or completely overtake a delicate coffee.
Yes, and a bitter espresso can completely flatten a mild cigar.
Yeah. So, Mel, let's talk about some rules when it comes to pairing coffee and cigars. What's the first rule?
So first off, you want to match the body with body. So you're going to do a light coffee with a light cigar, a medium with a medium, a full with a full.
Absolutely. And that doesn't mean that you can't experiment a little and try different pairings.
Yeah, I mean, definitely experiment, learn what you enjoy. But if you're trying to build a reliable pairing, that's where you start. So complementary pairings can help. accentuate the flavor and not mute it. So you have to be very careful that that complementary does not remove or mute the flavors
Absolutely.
that you enjoy about the cigar. So it can also accentuate the flavor notes, and it can bring out other notes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the great thing about complementary. Either what's weird is when you have complementary and contradictory, both can help and both can hurt, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about coffee and cigars from your perspective. Let me ask you something. Do you remember the first time you realized that coffee and cigars belong together?
Yeah, I do, honestly. And it wasn't even a fancy pairing event. Like, we weren't even being crazy or anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it wasn't premium espresso. It wasn't at a cigar lounge tasting seminar with anyone. It was just a quiet, regular morning, and it was a coffee and cigar, and it was perfect.
Yeah, and that's normally how it happens. It's just a quiet morning at home on the deck with a coffee and cigar. And so I remember one of the times we were in Alaska, and we went to a cigar event and doing a cigar event with them, and they brought out espresso after the meal. And it was just absolutely fantastic. I'd been having cigars and coffee a little bit before, but that's the first time I'd really ventured out from just my home brewed every morning cigar. And it was really, really good.
Yep.
And I remember thinking, man, I've got to figure out what's the right cigar, because they had particularly chosen that cigar to smoke with that brand of coffee. And it was impactful to me. That was about 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Can't believe it's been that long, but
I know.
it's been a little while since we did that.
Yeah. And I think for me, I had smoked that cigar before. It wasn't a new cigar or anything, but it really did make a big transition to how the coffee felt to me. The cream came forward, the cedar was a little softer, and the sweetness was a lot easier to notice.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eric said, I've got to say, there is one cigar in this world better than any other with a morning coffee. And he says the Southern Draw Morning Glory, my personal favorite. I do like that cigar. I think there's several others that a lot of people talk about. We're going to talk about a few here in a little bit.
Yep.
One of the new ones that just came out is Rojas Morning.
I can't remember the name
I'm
of
drawing
it
a
right
complete
now.
blank. But the comments I've been hearing about it rivals that Southern Draw Morning Glory, and so I'm excited to try that one.
Mhm.
You're talking about your coffee experience. I had a very similar experience. You smoked a cigar, you already know, you take a sip of the coffee, and suddenly you're like, this coffee tastes better.
Yeah.
This cigar tastes better. I smoke, as many of you guys watching or have been around the Rebels long, I smoke the same cigar every single morning. I have for like almost 2,000 days. Mel's been rolling it for me for years now, and absolutely love that cigar. I have a cup of coffee every morning, and we switch coffees that we brew in the morning so that I can actually get quite a different variation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that quiet mornings, that's what it is. We have them in the humidor here at Stories. I just can't remember what it was. They're going to be releasing here in a couple of days. Alex said, okay, hear me out. Hagenda's coffee chip ice cream and a nice Maduro cigar. I'm with you, my friend. I've never actually had that particular brand, but I've had coffee ice cream with a cigar, and it is fantastic. I also like a dark chocolate ice cream with peanut butter swirl in it with a cigar. That's another great dessert setup.
I pretty much like any type of ice cream.
Yeah, you do like just
except for butter pecan.
Yeah.
I am not a butter pecan fan.
Yeah. So getting back to the topic, when you have the coffee and cigar and you start noticing the change in the cigar has always tasted the same, but the coffee brought out something different. You might start asking yourself, has the cigar always tasted like this?
Right. And the cigar didn't change, but the pairing did. And that's why we talk about pairings being so important in how they can affect your cigar experience.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things that comes with this hobby and this passion that we love around cigars is people spend so much time chasing the rare cigars, the limited editions, the special releases, in something, or really sometimes the biggest flavor, Mel, is discovered with something that's sitting in your kitchen.
Yeah. 100%. So sitting on your deck with a cup of coffee, it can definitely change the entire experience.
Coffee is accessible. Most people already drink it. You don't have to spend $50 to get a nice bottle. You don't have to become a mixologist and make the perfect mixing. You just need a little curiosity and a little bit of experimentation.
Yeah, and really attention. So if you slow down and take a few minutes, coffee really can teach you how to taste cigars.
Absolutely. Leslie of the Corn said, I can remember the first time we had coffee and cigar pairing. We're at one of our local brick and mortars, and the owner served popcorn to French press with a cigar. It was truly a game changer. I love that.
Yeah, love that.
So when it comes to coffee, here's the deal. You take a sip, you take a puff. You notice what changes. More sweetness, more bitterness, more creaminess, more spice, or maybe less. And that begins to let you know what you're tasting.
Right. And then suddenly you are building your palate without actually making it feel like homework.
Right, absolutely. So let's talk about something a lot of cigar smokers understand instinctively, even if they've never really thought about it. The time of day, Mel, it matters.
Yes, it absolutely does. That is why I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about morning cigars versus evening cigars. As the first part of that is your palate in the morning is not going to be the same as your palate after you've had dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. It's why a full-bodied Nicaraguan cigar at 7:30 in the morning can become a bad life decision.
Yes, especially if you have not had anything to eat and you have not had breakfast and you are smoking it on an empty stomach.
That's how you end up sitting very, very still,
Yeah.
staring into space and rethinking this entire hobby.
Yes, 100% do not recommend. But in the morning, your palate is usually cleaner and it's going to be more sensitive. Bitter flavors are going to feel sharper. Strong tobacco can feel heavier, and nicotine can hit harder.
Yeah, and so there's a story I think I've shared on the podcast before, and so if I have, I apologize, but this was not coffee. It was Bullet Rye bourbon. But I'd gotten home from a long day, had a meeting. Mel was out shopping, and so I decided I was going to smoke something really quick. I got a cigar that's probably 8 or 9 on the strength scale. Went outside, got it cut, poured me a little bit of the bourbon. I put a little rock in there because it was hot outside. I'm sitting outside smoking, and before you know it, I am just staring off into the yard. And I get up, and I immediately lose it. Everything I'd had for lunch, over the rail of the deck onto the backyard. I walk into the house. I actually I'd been wearing a suit to work, so I had the suit jacket hanging on a chair, but I still had the pants and the shirt, and I was like, I'm just going to have a cigar quick, wait for Mel to come home. I laid down on the floor and did not move until Mel got home. And I was just totally cigar drunk.
Yeah.
And that can happen to you if you pair the wrong cigar at the wrong time of day, which is why mild or medium cigars often work better earlier in the day. Now, that was kind of late day, 5 o'clock. I'd had a little bit of lunch, but it was 105, 90% humidity. When I finally looked at it, it said it felt like 111 outside, and I'm in dress shoes, pants, and a shirt. So time of the day and heat matters.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So definitely got to keep an eye on that. But I think that's sometimes, like you were saying, why mild and medium cigars often are going to work better earlier in the day. And especially those cigars that are going to have cream, cedar, nuts, some soft sweetness, maybe some light baking spice, a Connecticut shade, Ecuadorian Connecticut, maybe some mild Dominican blends, softer Cameroon blends. Those are all going to be beautiful morning cigars.
I agree, Mel, absolutely. And Richard's comment is exactly right. That's definitely what I need. Richard, that was before I realized a little bit of chocolate helps with that.
Yeah.
But I didn't discover that yet. And that was I'd been smoking a couple of months when that happened. And so when it comes to those morning cigars that Mel just mentioned, coffee often gives them structure and builds out their flavor profile.
Right. A light cigar with black coffee can feel more balanced. A cappuccino can make a mild cigar feel richer. A latte can pull out those vanilla, toasted nut notes, maybe a little bit of cream in there.
And if you take the same morning cigar and go dark roast espresso with a full-bodied Maduro,
that may be a little too much too early, to be honest. Although we do have some friends who do start the morning with strength and they get lighter in strength and flavor intensity as the day goes on.
Absolutely.
But we don't necessarily recommend starting out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Afternoon and evenings are very different.
Yes.
By then, most people have eaten a little bit in the evening. Your palate's warmed up. Your body's more ready for strength. Richer flavors become easier to enjoy. And that's when pepper, leather, espresso, dark chocolate, earthiness, and heavier spice can truly shine.
Yes, 100%. That evening cigar with a dark roast or espresso can feel very luxurious, but in the morning, that same pairing could feel very harsh.
Yeah, absolutely. The practical question here, Mel, is this. It's not just what cigar do I like. It is when am I going to smoke that cigar?
Right. And what am I pairing it with?
Yeah, and that's the simple shift that truly can begin to change everything for your flavor experience. Up next, Mel, I really want to talk about the 3 coffee lanes.
Okay.
And kind of what, maybe a little bit more depth than we have already.
Yes. So tonight we are putting coffee into 3 simple lanes, and that is going to be light, medium, and dark.
Yeah, coffee people, please do not yell at us.
Yes, we know that coffee is more complicated than that. And there's different regions and processes.
Yeah, absolutely. There's acidity, there's roast curves, there's pour over methods, there's all these things. And there's even the temperature of your water. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know somebody who measures the temperature of their water before they pour it to make sure they get the right acidity. And so there's espresso ratios, there's grind size, as I said, water temperature. It all impacts. We understand that, but we want to be a little more simple tonight.
Right, right. We don't want to lose our cigar audience.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to bring them to the table, not run them away.
Yes. So moving forward, keeping it practical. Lane 1 is the light roast or the breakfast style coffee. Lane 2 is our medium roast. And lane 3 is going to be that dark roast, espresso, Cuban coffee, or maybe that rich cold brew.
Yeah, I love that Dave said the dark roast is bringing out the creamy chocolate and actually making the Maduro milder. I love that, just because it makes a different smoking experience.
Right.
So let's start with light roast. A light roast can be brighter, sometimes more acidic, sometimes floral, and sometimes a little citrusy. Usually lighter bodied, stronger caffeine content, however, although the difference is pretty minor when it's compared to medium roast.
Right. So what cigars are going to work for that?
Yeah, so really milder cigars, right? Connecticut Shade, a creamy Dominican cigar, a smooth Ecuadorian Connecticut, maybe a mellow Cameroon that you mentioned earlier. You want a cigar that won't just crush the brightness of that coffee.
Right. And this is where cream and cedar, some toasted almond, hay, that light sweetness, they work very beautifully together. And so the coffee is going to wake up your palate, and the cigar is going to smooth all of the edges.
Yeah, and this is what I call the porch coffee, right? This is the watching the world wake up. This is the before emails or meetings ruin your personality cigar.
Right. So before we get to lane 2, I see a comment of someone asking how a chai latte would pair with a cigar. And I feel like we both have some good feedback on that. So
why don't you go first?
So we have poured chai and cigars multiple times. And again, choosing the right cigar, it is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love that. I love chai. I actually keep a pre-brewed chai in the cabinet. And so there's no sweetener or anything added to it. You're able to heat that up and pour it in there. And then I pour just a dash of a vanilla creamer in there, or I drink it straight. Either way, the chai and the spice really accentuates a phenomenal cigar if it's paired right. It will overpower a Connecticut. A nice Habano or a kind of thick Maduro leaf goes really well with that. I really enjoyed it with the Aganorsa Supreme leaf when I smoked that a while back, which was fantastic. I also really like it with the Bighorn by Big Sky. Both of those just pair really beautifully with the chai. There's been a lot of them I've smoked. I'll smoke just about anything with the chai because I absolutely love it. However, those are two that pair really, really well with it.
Yes.
And so that's a great catch out there.
Yep.
So lane 2, Mel.
Yes, so lane 2 is going to be medium roast. So this is probably the most flexible coffee for cigar pairings. A medium roast can bring out caramel, can bring out chocolate, maybe nuts. It's going to have a balanced acidity, and it's going to have enough body to stand up to more cigars.
Absolutely. And this is where medium body cigars really truly begin to shine. Habano, Rosado, Cameroon, Sumatra, some Corojo, depending on the blend.
Right.
Often something balanced with Nicaraguan and Dominican blends combined.
Right. And you can pair a medium roast with cigars that have cedar, baking spice, cocoa, leather, roasted nuts, I mean, even earth.
Yeah, and that's really what makes the medium roast coffee the everyday pairing lane.
Right.
When it comes to medium roast coffees, there's a lot of them out there. I'm not blending or roasting my own like Eric, but I have fallen in love with the Dutch Brothers bagged coffee. I just love their medium roast and their dark roast. It's one of the things I'm drinking tonight, and it's very, very good. So a good way to experiment, and this is not in the notes, this is a freebie for you guys out there tonight, is buy some of those small bags at wherever you pick up your groceries so you can try out different blends. And sometimes I'll even have this, I'll make 2 pots of coffee in the same day and try different ones. And I love it.
Yeah. So if you're new to pairing cigars and coffees, I would recommend starting with a medium roast coffee and a medium bodied cigar and just see what happens and go from there.
Yeah, this pairing is truly the perfect pairing, especially for a phenomenal morning experience. Regardless of the complementary notes or the contradicting flavors, it seems to work together very, very well, both the cigar and the coffee. Alex had mentioned anything with a PA broadleaf and a medium roast that pairs really well. The sweetness of the tobacco plus the aroma of the coffee really hits well. I agree with that. The cigar I smoke in the morning typically pairs very well together with medium or dark roast. It's a Ecuadorian Habano with Dominican fillers, and it's just fantastic to really kind of pair that well together.
Yeah.
Dwayne also said that he agrees with Dave that he prefers a dark roast coffee and getting the same notes from that.
Perfect.
So
yeah, that's awesome feedback. We're going to move on now to lane 3, which is going to be the dark roast espresso, the Cuban, or the cold brew.
Yeah, and so the perfect mid-afternoon, early evening, or after dinner pairing. This is almost dessert.
Right. So this is where the Maduro, the broadleaf, maybe an Oscuro, or a fuller Nicaraguan blend, a richer Dominican blend, those bolder cigars are what's going to make sense here.
Yeah, because dark coffee has bitterness, it has roast, it has intensity, and it has body. A mild cigar can completely disappear into that and be truly muted.
Right. But a fuller cigar can meet it where it's at and really elevate the entire experience. So dark roast coffees, common tasting notes are dark chocolate, molasses, espresso, some of those ones you were mentioning.
Yeah, that black pepper, a really damp earth, leather, charred oak. And those flavors can really line up beautifully. And as I mentioned a little earlier, this truly can be an early evening pre-dinner meal treat or an after-dinner dessert. And sometimes I like to have dessert before dinner, so that's the perfect pairing.
Yeah.
And this is Mel, I'd like to call this nobody talk to me for 90 minutes. I need to let the day wash away cigar pairing.
Yes, for all the rebels out there, this is not just a perfect pairing. This is the self-care for your day.
Absolutely. All right, Rebels, let's hear from you again. Are you team light roast, medium roast, dark roast, or maybe an espresso? We'd love to know.
Yep, go ahead, drop your feedback in the comments and tell us what cigar you would like to pair with it. So I would like to see if we have more of the morning Connecticut people, or maybe espresso and Maduro rebels out there.
Yeah, and so you already know the Maduro people are going to be loud because that's just their personality.
Well, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that. But now it's time to go ahead and talk about what makes a pairing good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, go for it. I was going to jump in, but you go for it.
Because sometimes people think that pairing means matching the exact same flavor, and coffee tastes like chocolate, cigars taste like chocolate. So that's done. That's it. You've done it, but that can work, but that's also not the only way to do it.
Yeah, and so really what you want to do when you're pairing coffees and cigar, much like you're pairing a cigar with anything, a bourbon or rum, but talking coffee tonight, is you want to think about complementary, you want to talk about contrast, or you want to talk about the third category, which is the bridge. So Mel, why don't you walk us through some of that?
Right. So complement is when the coffee and the cigar are going to share those similar flavors. So Maduro with an espresso, a cigar with cocoa, and a dark roast with cocoa, maybe those will all reinforce each other.
Yeah, and that's really the easy one, right?
Yes, and contrast is going to be when they're different, but in a way that is going to create balance. So for example, you can do a creamy Connecticut with black coffee, and the coffee is going to bring the bitterness and the structure, and the cigar is going to bring that cream and that softness.
Yeah, so it's almost like a sweet and salty type of balance. You get the bitterness and the creaminess at the same time, and they pair beautifully.
Yes, it's going to be a classic pairing. The bridge is when one shared flavor connects two different profiles. So maybe that coffee has caramel. Maybe the cigar has cedar and baking spice. Both have that nuttiness. And the nuttiness from those two components is what creates the bridge.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that makes someone sound smarter when they're sitting around the lounge and talking.
Well,
it's talking about how that nuttiness between both bridge the cigar together, right? That's where you might risk sounding a little snobbish.
Well, I mean, and it helps when you have people taste what's happening, and everybody's sharing that too.
Yeah, and that's really the point, right? Because everybody's sitting around talking about their smoking, what flavors they're getting. It's becoming a bigger and bigger topic when you're sitting around. And we're really not trying to make you rebels out there sound pretentious. We're trying to help you enjoy your cigar more.
Right. The goal is cigar experience education. And a good pairing should do at least one of four things. It should make the cigar taste better. It should make the coffee taste better. It should either have real flavor you didn't notice before, or it should create a moment.
Yeah, and that last one might be the most important, Mel. It might, or really it truly is the goal when we get right down to it. Hopefully one of the three create the fourth.
Right.
Like it's all designed around how do we get to the place where we create the right moment.
Right. And when it comes to coffee and cigars, they are not just flavor, both are about ritual.
I love that comment, right? Because the morning cigar with coffee hits different because it's quiet. The world has not gotten loud yet.
Right.
You're waking up, the world is waking up. And many people already have the ritual of a cup of coffee in the morning. Why not add a cigar and make it a better morning?
100%. And the evening espresso with a cigar is going to hit differently because all of the work is done. So the day is going to slow down. You're not going to be rushing, and you're not preparing for the day. You're really winding down from it.
And that's why coffee and cigars are really bigger than a pairing chart. They're about pace.
Yes, and presence. But on that thought, after the break, we are going to talk a little more about coffee rituals and experience, and then also our top 5 cigars to pair with each roast.
We fell in love with cigars not because of the flavors or smoking experience or perceived status, but because it allows barriers to fall between other humans and build deeper connections. For that reason, we've been super intentional to curate a space where people can find community and enjoyment with others, and cigars just happen to be the way we're doing it. For that reason, we are thrilled to be the one and only cigar retail store and lounge in downtown Lufkin. A good story is one of the most powerful tools used to connect with another human. Sharing stories fades out differences and highlights similarities found in the details or with the storyteller. Over the years, we have seen some of the best stories told over cigars, and thus, new friendships are made, passions shared, encouragement given, and so much more. The impact storytelling has on the human connection is why we've decided to name our store and lounge Stories. Because behind every good cigar and conversation is an even better story.
Back in 1905, under Montana skies, 100 satin factories rolled smoke full of eyes. Reminders of ranchers' life, one and grin. Now Big Sky Cigars is bringing that spirit back in.
Yellowstone River to the bold bighorn flow. Madison, Beirut, Blackfoot, we know. And Lee from Nicaragua, San Andres, Tuba, Ecuador rolled up.
And every box sold helps our veterans mend. With warriors and quiet waters, we lend a friend's hand. It's heritage burning in every draw. Big Sky Cigars, Montana's pride and law. Big Sky Cigar, where heritage flows will ever draw. Find your river at Big Sky Cigar to pop.
As always, thank you to our sponsors. Let's go ahead and take a look at upcoming shows.
Yep. So next Monday night at 7 o'clock, we're coming to you with an episode, America 250, Celebration, Cigars, and More. I'm really excited about that episode. We're going to be smoking the McAuliffe Black Firecracker.
On July 6th, we are doing Cigar School 101, how to cut and light a cigar the right way, and we are smoking the Paladin, Connecticut by Hoot & Young.
July 13th, we have mobile cigar lounges, and we're going to be live here at Stories with our guests from Simple Man Mobile Cigars, and we're going to be smoking the Lone Star Attitude by the Elevated Humidor.
And then on July 20th, we are doing boutique and craft cigars. What is the difference, if there is one? And we're going to be smoking the Intemperance Treachery by Roma Craft.
Yep, excited about all of those upcoming episodes. If this is your first time watching tonight, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Also, you can click notify, and it'll notify you a few days before and the day of that the podcast is coming up. That way you don't miss anything. And as always, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Cigar Rebels. And if you're watching or listening to this on replay, you can always hashtag ReplayFam and let us know what you're smoking and pairing with it. And just keep us updated that you're out there. So we love to know new things that you might be smoking that we need to be trying. And as always, you can catch the podcast anywhere you stream, Apple, Spotify, or Amazon. So now let's check in on the cigar. What are you getting so far?
So I'm about halfway through, and I probably have picking up some notes, maybe of some cocoa, some roasted nuts, and it's probably the creamer that I put in my coffee, but it's enhanced a little bit, some spice in there for me, just on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, so I've got that spice in the tip of my tongue. I'm getting that nuttiness that's drawn out. The coffee is really enhancing the chocolatey notes of the Maduro in a very positive way. It's not muting it, but it's on the palate, it's not there, but on the finish, like after I've taken a draw, it almost was like that dark chocolate. I like to suck on dark chocolate, and that's kind of what that flavor, more of a feeling is than a flavor, to be honest with you.
Right.
Dave said halfway through the LE Arts and Craft, some charred salted meat comes through. Love that.
Yeah.
I'm not picking that up, but I love that that's there. I know other people have said that saltiness with this cigar. So let's jump right back into the topic.
Yep. So I want to talk about something that doesn't show up on pairing charts, and that is going to be coffee rituals and the cigar experience. Because coffee and cigars is not just about the flavor. They're really both about slowing down.
And the reality is, in our culture and society, we just don't slow down enough anymore.
No, we don't. And I think most of us spend the whole day moving from one thing to the other. So there's phones, there's emails, there's meetings, there's errands, there's notifications, and all of that is just on repeat.
Yeah, absolutely. In today's level of connection, it never, ever stops.
Yes, we're all exhausted.
That's so true.
But coffees and cigars, they force you to slow down and kind of enjoy the moment.
Yeah, especially cigars, right? You cannot rush a cigar. Well, I mean, you can.
Yeah, but it'll kind of punish you a little bit for that. I do feel like patience is a virtue, especially when it comes to experiencing the flavors, the rituals, and the peace of your cigar.
Yeah, absolutely. A cigar is one of the few things that lets or maybe forces you to have patience. It demands patience. And a coffee can surely be the same way. Grinding the beans, making a pour over, pulling an espresso shot, using a French press, all of that takes time, effort, and focus.
Right. And I think there's also something that's really calming about that.
Yeah, and when you combine that coffee ritual with a cigar, the whole experience just feels more intentional.
Right. Because you're no longer really just consuming something, you're participating in it.
Okay. That's a little deep.
Well, it sounded better in my head, but this is still Monday here. It's still Monday night after a crazy weekend.
No, I like it. I like it. Because most coffee and cigar pairings that I've had are not always the most expensive thing to do, because truly the best pairing is what you have in the house and what's already in the humidor. Right? They're the ones where I wasn't in a hurry. I simply had on hand and I chose to take a few minutes to experience them.
Right. And no matter where you're enjoying it, it could be the back porch, it could be an early morning, or a lazy late Saturday morning where there's no meetings, no deadlines. It's just coffee and a cigar.
And that's where memories truly happen. And honestly, Mel, that may be the best pairing advice of the night. Just slow down.
Right. The coffee is going to taste better. The cigar is going to taste better. And the whole moment is going to get better as well.
Yeah, really. And in a moment where we're going to give you some pairings, but the reality is what we're really trying to communicate tonight is to take those moments, to have the moments, to enjoy them. I often will smoke a cigar while I'm working, and I'm not really enjoying it.
Right.
So like today, mid-afternoon, and had a busy morning, I told myself, you know what, I'm going to make a second cup of coffee. I made a cup of coffee, so this is my third or fourth cup today, which is probably not good for me. And I just sit on the deck, watched the leaves blow, had a cigar with coffee. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, in a moment, we're going to give you our top 5 cigars for each roast category. And I know that that's too simple for some of you coffee enthusiasts, but it's what we got tonight.
Yes.
But first, we need to talk for a moment about the cigars that most of you rebels don't like it when we talk about, but they deserve to be talked about, the infused cigar.
Yes. So infused cigars, do not want to leave that out there. You're going to do the infused cigar with a sweet coffee and honestly, palate honesty.
Yeah, absolutely. Because coffee and cigar conversation must include coffee infused cigars, sweet caps, flavored cigars, all of that.
Yes, I used to love, it was probably about a year and a half ago at this point, and I don't smoke it as much anymore, but I used to love the Macanudo espresso and cream with a coffee in the morning or for dessert.
Yeah, we have a lot of our members and a lot of our fans that absolutely love a full-bodied Maduro, but they've taken many a picture with an espresso and cream by Macanudo and a cup of coffee on their deck.
Yep.
And what I have to say is there's nothing wrong with enjoying what you enjoy, and that honestly needs to be said more often.
Yeah, 100%. That was a recommendation pairing to me from someone when I tried it, and I loved it at the time. I don't know that my palate would be the same today, but a year and a half ago, that was a go-to for a while.
Yeah, and if you like a coffee-infused cigar with coffee, enjoy it. If you like a traditional cigar with a black coffee, enjoy it. If you like a sweet latte in a Connecticut, enjoy it. The hobby should be enjoyable.
Right.
But there's a difference between enjoying sweetness and confusing sweetness with complexity.
That is 100% correct. A sweetened pairing can be very delicious. It can also, the sweetness can cover up the flaws. So it can cover up that bitterness. It can cover the harshness. It can make the cigar feel smoother than what the cigar really is.
Yeah, same with coffee. Put enough cream and sugar in coffee and you had a lot.
That's very true. So our recommendation is really pretty simple. Try both. Smoke a cigar with black coffee, then try it with a creamy coffee, and then try it with a sweet coffee, and just see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how you begin to learn your palate. Sorry, my mic fell off.
Oh. He's putting his mic back on really quick.
I do not know where it went.
That's really the bigger theme tonight is coffee and cigars are a great way to develop your palate because the changes are easy to notice.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, guys. I dropped my mic. I talked with my hands. I knocked it off my shirt.
I thought for a second you dropped some ash on your shirt, and I was like, just get it later.
No, I was like, no, I dropped my mic. Sorry. Back to the topic. The truth is you do not need an expensive setup or a perfect brew process. You need a cigar, a cup of coffee, and a little attention.
Right. So, okay, Rebels, here are our top 5 cigars, according to Kevin and I, to pair with each roast category.
So up first is the top 10 cigars. We said top 5 cigars. I did top 10. Sorry.
Oh, well.
Top 10 cigars for a light roast coffee. These are coffees that are Ethiopian, Kenyan, Panama, or blonde roasts, light roasts that really reward nuance, creaminess, cedar and almonds, and floral notes in cigars.
Okay. So number 1 on this list is going to be the Davidoff Signature number 2 or the Grand Cru. Number 2 is Velvet Smooth or Velvet Gold. Number 3 is the Crown Head Mil Diaz. Number 4 is the Sombremesa Brulee. Number 5 is the My Father Connecticut. Number 6 is the Arturo Fuente Chateau Fuente. Number 7 is the Montosa Connecticut or the Maduro.
I love both of those cigars. They pair perfectly with coffee.
Yes. Number 8 is the Elevated Humidor Garage Force Connecticut. Number 9 is the La Giana Maduro. And
again, another fantastic pairing. All these are good, but that La Giana and those Montosa are fantastic.
And then number 10 is the Macanudo Espresso and Cream or the Macanudo Coffee.
Yep, there's the infused.
Total side note, too, is on that Sombremesa Brulee, do you find that cigar to be very sweet?
Oh, that cigar.
I find that cigar to be very sweet.
Okay, Steve Saka will not agree with this comment. It is a sweetened cigar, hands down.
I feel like it's very sweet.
But he absolutely says it is not. He says it's just the tobacco. He made it. He knows, but I would disagree.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump to a couple of quick comments before we go to medium roast cigars. Leslie said she met a lady on her trip who told her she takes the factory smokes, places them in a mason jar with a shot of liquor. Example, Fireball, and allows them infused for a couple of weeks. She said she's intrigued. I know a lot of people have done that. Yep. One of our tobacconists at Stories likes to do that often. It definitely works. I'm not a fan of it, but some people really, really love it. Yep. And so, again, if you enjoy it and try it, you should do it.
Yep.
Alex said coffee and tobacco genetically are distant cousins. I agree with you 100%. If you can grow tobacco, you can grow coffee and so forth. And any coffee goes with any cigar. I would agree, but just trying to help with a little bit of pairing tonight. And then, Leslie, take those factory smokes and leave them in a container with coffee grounds. Wait until you taste that. I have tried that as well, and I think that is a fantastic way to infuse that a little bit. So let's talk the top 10 medium roast cigars. Colombian, Guatemalan, Costa Rican, standard specialty coffees. This is where most premium cigars perform best. So Mel, why don't you give us that list?
Yes, so we are going to have the Roma Craft and Temperance EC, the Garofalo Sun Grown or Natural, the Olivia Series V Milanio, The My Father Le Bijou 1922.
So the interesting about that cigar is it's a phenomenal cigar,
Mhm.
but I enjoy it the most with a cup of coffee. On its own, it's an okay cigar to me. I know people love it, but to me, it's just okay. With a cup of coffee, it's fantastic.
Yes, I agree. The McAuliffe Blue or the McAuliffe Purple, the Crown Heads Blood Medicine, the Rocky Patel number 6, the Elevated Humidor Ladybug or the LSA Lone Star Attitude, the CAO Speed Shot, and the Big Sky Bighorn.
Yeah, and I mentioned that Big Sky cigar earlier. Fantastic with the chai as well.
Yep.
Jumping into the dark roast or espressos, talking about a French roast, a Vienna roast, a dark Colombian, a nice French pressed. Dark roast really demand richer, darker tobacco for the best pairings, both complementary and contradictory. And so, Mel, why don't you give us that top 10?
So Plasencia Alma Series, the Liga Privada number 9, the Olivia Series V Maduro, the My Father, I always have a hard time, La
Lealtad.
Lealtad.
I think.
I always want to add like an extra A or I between that L and T, and I know that's not how you say it. The Bandolero, really any series.
Yeah, absolutely. The A, the T, or the C, all of those pair perfectly with a rich espresso. We were in here in this room maybe about a month ago, and somebody ran across to the coffee shop across the street and got an espresso, and we were smoking that. Oh, man, it was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the EPC Encore, the McAuliffe Black, Red, or Green, the Roma Craft Mayan Stranza or the Neanderthal.
You love that pairing.
I do, yeah, the Neanderthal and coffee. The Elevated Humidor Garage Force Maduro, the Racy's Cubano C5 Black, and I'm going to add one more on here just because I can't leave it off, is the M81 in the Petite Corona, or in the Corona
The M81, one of Mel's favorites. I agree. It performs fantastic with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Hopefully you Rebels can see with these lists that you can increase cigar body along with the coffee roast intensity in order to increase your flavor profile, your enjoyment of the cigar.
Right. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring this podcast home. Coffee and cigars, they work because they share a language. So they are going to share agriculture, fermentation, aroma, roast, curing, flavor, and honestly, ritual.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Alex said, they're cousins,
Yes.
right? They're truly agronomically, I think that's how you'd say that. They're cousins. But the pairing works best when you're intentional and not haphazard about it.
Yeah. So light coffee, mild cigars, medium coffee with medium cigars, dark coffee with fuller cigars. And that really is that starting point.
Yeah, but like we said, it's not a prison sentence. You don't have to stick to that. Feel free to explore and find your perfect pairing.
Right. None of this is the law or anything by any means. Definitely experiment. Try different pairings. Take notes on what you like, what you don't like. Figure out really what your palate is enjoying.
Yeah, because morning cigars usually work better when they're smoother and more approachable. Evening cigars can carry more richness, strength, and complexity.
Right. And if you remember only one thing from tonight, the right pairing should make the moment better. So not just the cigar, not just the coffee, but the moment.
Yeah. In tonight's winner wasn't a specific coffee. It was truly paying attention.
Right. And that's how you become a better cigar smoker. Not by memorizing the tasting notes and honestly not by chasing what everyone else likes. It's learning by your own palate.
Yeah, and coffee is one of the easiest and most enjoyable ways to build your palate and determine what cigars you like best at what time of day. There's so much more to discuss on this topic, Mel. We really just don't have time tonight. We're out of time. So, Mel, what are your final thoughts on the arts and craft by the Elevated Humidor in this coffee pairing?
So for me, it paired really well. I did more of a dark roast and more of a bolder coffee with this. And it really did bring out, I think I mentioned that, a little bit of that spice. And
yeah, there's definitely a subtle pepper, especially on the retro hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a lingering sweet finish, though.
Yeah. In this final third, and I don't know if any of the other people smoking it with us, either you Rebels that got the Rebel pack or those here in our live audience, but it's honestly, even without the coffee, got a little bit of a bittery coffee note to it.
Yeah, I can see that.
That I think the coffee kind of enhances. And again, I am drinking coffee, so it influences me a little bit, but I definitely think it's there.
Yeah. And now that you say that, I feel like I can taste it as well.
It's the power of influence.
Right. Well, thank you guys all for joining us today. If you liked this episode, please leave us a review, share with your cigar friends, and hit us up with any topics you would love for us to dive into on future episodes.
Yeah, and if you're watching or listening on replay, as I mentioned earlier, drop us a comment with hashtag #ReplayFam. Click on the notify button so that you're notified of any future episodes. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Cigar Rebel. Next week, we have a great episode for you Rebels. As we mentioned earlier, America 250, celebration cigars and more. We're going to be smoking that McAuliffe Black Firecracker in celebration of the 4th of July. But for tonight, Mel, that's our show.
Yes, and we will see you next Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time. And until then, thank you guys for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. And until Monday, keep your cigar lit, your ash long, and your palate curious.
Good night, Rebels.